LDRA, the leader in standards compliance, automated software verification, software code analysis, and test tools, has built an integration with the Intland codeBeamer to offer an integrated application lifecycle management and software testing solution for the embedded, real-time, safety, and security critical markets. The LDRA tool suite and codeBeamer ALM exchange data bidirectionally to support any industry-specific development process, reducing the cost of testing and improving code quality, safety, and security. You can tell that I've logged in to the codeBeamer instance. And what you're looking at here is the project dashboard. We see two projects. The one of interest for this presentation is the tunnel lighting system. This is the wiki dashboard for the tunnel lighting project, which presents information on progress, status, health, and well-being of the project. There are also other dashboards like the Agile, QA, and the requirements dashboard. You can see the various requirements graphed, and on the right-hand side, we see shortcuts to the documents or specifications that house the requirements, starting with the system's requirement that has been decomposed into high level, then further decomposed low level, and we have also the software test case specification, which verifies the high and low level requirements. This is just a common example, but users can have organized their project in different ways. To give you a heads up, the requirements and test cases captured in these specifications will be exported into the LDRA tool suite. There, further traceability down to the code can be established, the test case is realized or brought to life, executed, and the verification results exported back into codeBeamer. I'll show this in the LDRA part of the demo. Now let's take a look at the system requirements specification. This is a document view. We can see here the scope, purpose, general, we can see diagrams, and here's where the system requirements begin. On the left-hand side, we see each requirement tracker item. We can select a particular requirement. We have options to make edits, and we can further expose all the fields available to us regarding this particular tracker item. codeBeamer is highly customizable, so these fields or tracker items can be created to meet your industry or project needs. Now, one very important field to mention is the references. This is where the user establishes the links that connects these tracker items and builds that very important traceability matrix. Let's move into the high-level requirements, a level of decomposition, to help explain this further. We can see the document. Here's where my high-level requirements begin. I can also click on display lumens, and I know that display lumens has an upstream reference to the display, to the system level requirement. Let's go down another level of decomposition. I know that display lumens has been further decomposed into several other low-level requirements, which set lumens is one of them. We can see that upstream traceability to display lumens. Now let's take a look at this traceability through the Traceability Browser. Here you can create multiple managed presets or views. So for example, I have a tunnel lighting system traceability matrix. We see that this view is comprised of the traceability starting from the system requirements all the way down to these software test cases. As we scroll down, we can follow each requirement and see how far it goes. For example, the luminaries has not been decomposed at all. And as an example, if we follow the display system requirement, it's decomposed into several high-level requirements, then low-level requirements, and only the set lumens output has a test case to verify it. Let's dive into the test case. A few key fields of interest to mention are the verified field. This is where LDRA will change the value to verified after the test case has been created, executed, and a pass result has been obtained. The LDRA type field informs the LDRA user of what type of test case to recognize during the LDRA import. And this is important because LDRA will invoke the appropriate part of its tool suite in order to realize the test case. We will see this in action during the LDRA integration part of the demo. Here we also have the description where it captures the instructions or steps on how to perform the testing and also expresses maybe some output results. Okay, let's move into the LDRA part of the demo. Now this is TB Manager, which is part of the LDRA tool suite, and we have an almost empty project. I've already created several groups to house my high level, low level requirements and the test cases for high and low level requirements. This was done to expedite the demo. I'm going to now create a new group to house my system level requirements, and that's just to show you how this is constructed. Now I can do this through my graphical view. So there are multiple perspectives. I'm going to select the unit view. I'm going to now go ahead and add that missing group. This allows me to see the dependencies between these different groups. Now that I have my system level requirements group, I can right click and I can select import from codeBeamer. Here I'll select requirements because these are requirements, not test cases, but you can see you have that option. Now the next thing I'm going to do is select the codeBeamer connection. We have the name, the server address, port number, the login information. I've selected to save credentials, and I'm going to test the connection. Connection is successful, so I can now go ahead and load projects. I have two projects. Tunnel lighting system is the one of interest. I'm going to load the trackers or those specifications. The one I'm interested in is the system requirement specification, so I can read all of those tracker fields. I'm going to go ahead and load them up. Now that they're loaded, I can start making mappings. For example, the name of the requirement has been mapped to the requirement name in the LDRA tool. The links to the requirement references, the description to the requirement body, and the unique ID to the requirement number. Now, one of the things I want to make sure I bring in is our system requirements. So that specification has information such as headings, and perhaps in your case it may have other different types. So what I'm going to do is show you a preview of what I would be bringing in. And you can see here's the preview. It would just bring all of this in, but I want to filter it based on the type. So I'm going to right click on the type and map it. You also saw that there are also custom attributes you can create. Now let's do the preview. We can see that we have some headings, which are not what I want. I want just the system requirements. So LDRA provides a filtering option for you. We have the option to include or exclude. Select what it is I want to look at, which is the type, and make sure that it contains system requirement. But I don't have to write the whole word. I can just write part of it, hit OK, test it out. And yes, only my system requirements are going to be brought in. Now the next thing I want to do is let LDRA know what type it is. There are various types, so they'll give it unique icons for it. System is what I want. I'm going to go ahead and hit import. Here's my system requirements. Hit OK, and I have 14 requirements that I've brought in are now housed within this group. Let's take a look at the default view. We can see the requirements. We can see where they're housed. Let's go ahead and bring in the high-level requirements. All of the settings here have been performed. One additional one is the verified. You can see that the verified has been mapped to the requirement status. That way we can update this field if we so choose within codeBeamer. The requirement type's high level. I'm just going to hit the import. Here's all of these high-level requirements. You can see that it's nested them. Let's go ahead and bring in the low-level requirements. Here is selected, low level, import those, hit OK, and we see yet another level of nesting. Now, this is mapping exactly to the same traceability information that exists in codeBeamer. Now let's go ahead and bring in the test cases. For the test cases, we have the verified, and that's what we're going to use. We're going to update that field in codeBeamer. Now these are test case type options to select from. So I can specify that some of these test cases are for code review, quality review, system test, code coverage, unit test, and so on. For this example, I'm just going to select code review, and that way LDRA knows what part of the tool suite to use. So I'm going to import, hit OK, and we can see up here that there is this particular unique type of test case. and I can see that it's going to use a specific part of the tool suite when I actually realize that. And I can add the coding standard, which in this case is requesting MISRA C++ 2008. Okay, let's bring in the low-level requirement test cases. Now these have been set to unit test. Hit OK. And you can see here the icon is different. These are for unit testing of the set lumens procedure. To move forward, what we can do is now bring in the source code. I can add a single source file, multiple files, files from a compiler project, makefile, or from a previous LDRA test case file. I'm going to keep it simple, bring in just a simple source file, navigate to where my source code is, and I'm going to select lamp.cpp. And I selected that because that's where that particular procedure exists. I can now map this code to the test case by simply drag and drop, selecting map procedure. And I can also map this to the requirement. And I could do it to the other requirements as well. That's why when you verify the test case, you can also update the verification status on the requirement. All right, so we can also look at this traceability through various perspectives that LDRA provides. So I'm going to select traceability from requirements to code. I'm going to start that traceability from my system level requirements on down. Let's take a look at that. See here my system, high level, low level, and my code. I can click on the code and I can see the highlights of the requirements it actually touches. All right, let's go back to default. Let's realize this test case now. Simply right click on it and we're going to select create a test. Now it's going to go ahead and launch TB run. And it's going to create for us a constructor. So I'm going to hit OK, continue, and we're going to execute that constructor to make sure that everything is correct and working. So let's go ahead, hit OK. And now that the constructor passed, everything's correct, it gives us the option to create a test case, the types of test case we want or need. Now to look back at the codeBeamer, here we want a single test with specific inputs and expected outputs. The input lumens required should be 0. The MDIS lamp type should be brightest with an output of 1. Then after that, we should perform the auto test generation or apply TB extreme. All right, let's take a look at LDRA and perform that type of test. We want a single test case. Continue. We want to provide the inputs 0 for lumens required. And for this lamp, M type is brightest and with an output of 1. All right, that's selected. Let's run it. And we see the results are pass. Okay. Now I love the extreme test, which is what we're going to perform next. And I love it because it really improves the performance and brings a lot of value to the tester. Here, LDRA will automatically create test cases for you, such as min, mid, and max, boundary value testing. Perhaps you want to check to see if your pointers, if they're set to no, how your code handles that. So this is great. Now I'm going to just do the simple run standard extreme test. So it'll create various types of inputs for me to exercise that operation. We can see that it passed. That's great. It seems to be a strong operation. Now when I close this, it updates and publishes the results. We see that it's created an HTML output. We see that the little button on the test case and the requirements are green, which means that the status is now verified. We can also look at the output, double click. We can look at the regression report and we can see that it's all passed, giving us the artifacts we may need to show conformance or compliance. All right, now that we've passed, how do we then inform codeBeamer? Since this is a low-level test case, you can see here test case 1722, you can see it's a different color, and we want to export that. So we want to right-click, select Export to codeBeamer, then select what it is that we want to export, and we just want to export the very last one. We could do the whole thing, but why do that? So this dialog tells us that we're going to be exporting that particular test case, and now we need to specify here what field that we mapped we want to export. We want to do the verified, change it from read to write, or we could do the other ones as well. But this is the only one of interest to us. Hit OK, and now we can go ahead and start the export. We can see the export was successful, and it says that it updated the codeBeamer field verified. Let's close and let's double check this information to see if it's true. Coming back to codeBeamer, we see that the verified still says not verified, but that's just a refresh issue. Let's go ahead and reload this page. We see that it's now verified. Now this is all that I wanted to show for the demo. I hope this has been very informative. For more information on the LDRA and this integration, please visit us at LDRA.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or send us an email at info@LDRA.com.